This is Shelley Craft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Cambridge House International Canadian Investor Conference in Vancouver 2014. I have with me Mr. Jonathan Ritchey of Exro Technologies. That's EXRO Technology. It's a private company. Welcome to SNNLive.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
It's good to have you. Okay, so let's find out about Exro.
Exro is a technology that works with both motors and generators, and it essentially makes them more efficient. So we don't make motors and generators, we make motors and generators more efficient. So typically they have a narrow efficiency curve. They need to run at rated speed, and we have an efficiency increase where the machine doesn't need to run at a specific speed. It can run wherever it needs to run and still be efficient.
Okay, you've said a mouthful, but you run up against a guy who knows a little bit about motors. So you've got RPMs, right? You've got horsepower.
Right.
So how do you change that? How do you reduce RPMs without losing, generating speed?
Well, what happens is you have a relationship between RPM and voltage. And so current is the other part of that. And so if I have a voltage that I want to increase, I can put the machine into a configuration where the coils are series. Sort of like batteries. If I have batteries in parallel, I can keep the voltage whatever one battery is. I put them in series, I can stack that voltage up. So the machine is able to reconfigure itself between different combinations of parallel and series in real time. It also can mechanically right-size itself and electrically right-size itself. So it's a machine that looks at the environment, whether it's the source energy prime mover or the load, how much power is being drawn, and it configures itself appropriately for that point in time and continues to monitor and change when it needs to. So essentially it's a control over voltage and a control over current.
Which brings me to my next question. Why would you do something like this? Are you reducing cost? What's the efficiency?
That's a really good question, and it really is the efficiency. So what happens is if you have a traditional machine, it has an efficiency curve which is a very steep peak. So if you're running at rated, the machine's designed for a specific speed. If you run at that speed, it's pretty efficient. It runs really quite well. If you fall off that speed, it starts to really lose its efficiency. So a wind turbine, for example, has a rated speed, and if it's not running at the right speed, its efficiencies are terrible and energy capture is really poor. So the idea of our technology is increase the capture of energy, which is particularly important for the current age that we're in, with renewables being so much more valuable. Run of river, tidal, wave, whatever it happens to be, Mother Nature doesn't give stability. Mother Nature is variable in nature. So these motors and generators that we're designing are able to adapt in real time and work with Mother Nature to get the most out of what's available.
Did you create this technology?
Yeah, I'm the original inventor, but there's a team of people, of course, that have all contributed.
So where does the substance of the patenting of the technology, what's the basis of that?
So we have 5 patent families, and those families are filed internationally. And essentially it is the mechanisms and the technologies by which you can do this. So it sounds pretty simple. I'll switch between parallel and series, but the reality is it's very sophisticated and complicated in terms of doing it, because you'll have voltage spikes and current spikes and torque issues and all kinds of issues if you don't manage that process very carefully. So our patents are all around how to do that.
So now we're talking about the integration and a retrofit nature of putting your technology into existing technology. What's the return on investment, both for the user and the manufacturer?
Well, that's a good question. The return on investment for the user is really about getting more bang for their buck. So if it's an electric vehicle, the vehicle will go farther. There'll be less fuel consumption. The manufacturer, of course, has a more valuable proposition to sell. It's got something that is going to do a lot more for the consumer and is more attractive as a result. It's really about bringing the next level of machine to the market. And a good analogy would be Dolby. They don't make speakers, they make speakers better. We don't really make electric machines, we make electric machines better. So we're not going to try to pull their existing motor generator out of the existing application. What we're going to do is we're going to plug our system into it to make it work better.
If I had to ask you to pick one particular motor or efficiency task that you've accomplished fixing, which industry, which motor, which production line, whatever, what would that be?
We've probably put the most thought into renewable energy like wind. Wind energy is a big one for us, and as we transition forward, we're going to get more into motor applications and specifically braking regeneration type systems for electric vehicles, hybrid systems, pure electric systems. That's where we can have the most impact on fuel consumption and really the environment. We're all about trying to have an impact on the environment.
What's your background?
I'm a food technologist and I'm a certified financial planner, X used to be, and I've been studying magnetics, electromagnetics and mechanical stuff for probably 15 years, but I'm not an actual engineer.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get your website for more information.
It's just simple, exro.com, exro.com.
Exro Technology, Jonathan Ritchey. It's a private company. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive. We're at the Cambridge House International Canadian Investor Conference, Vancouver, 2014. Jonathan, you have a really interesting business.
Thank you, Shelley. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for coming on.